Hey everyone, it's Alicia Joy, adventurousnerd.com, and I created this video for you to give you tips for focused reading, to improve your reading habits, to help you to read more books, to help you to finish reading what you start reading, and to increase your concentration. First, let's talk about time. So many people say they don't have enough time to read. They want to read books, but they don't have enough time. Well, guess what? We all have 24 hours, right? Obviously. Whether you are very productive, very lazy, very great, very wonderful, pretty, not so pretty. I mean, the point is we all have 24 hours. We're given the same amount of time, and we can't really manage time. We can only manage ourselves, right? So, with that being said, if you feel that your day is already chock-a-block, you already have so many things in your day to do, then something has to give. It's really that simple. Something has to go. You have to sacrifice any new habit that you want to form, any lifestyle changes, exercising more, picking up a new skill, trade, reading more, whatever it is, somewhere things are going to have to be cut. And one of the first things I recommend is television, because I find a lot of people want to make all these changes, but they claim they don't have time, but they're watching a lot of television, right? Trust me, you'll probably feel better about yourself once you cut some of that television watching time out. You will be okay. Okay, it's not going to hurt. At first, it will be a change, but you will manage. So, if you are a television watcher, cut back. Cut back on frivolous phone conversations. I'm not talking about being antisocial. I know you've got your friends and your family, your loved ones that you want to talk to. Of course, go for it. But sometimes these conversations can be running in circles and you're rehashing the same thing that you talked about half an hour ago. And a lot of times it could be negative things, complaining about the job or complaining about someone, gossiping, celebrity talk. Those kinds of conversations really, a lot of times they're negative anyway, and they're not really doing anything. If you have a goal to read more books and it's because you want to enhance your life in some way, then you could probably cut back some frivolous conversation, right? Next tip, carry your book or your e-reader, Kindle, Nook, whatever you have, everywhere you go. I carry books, they're in my car. If I have a little paperback, it's in my purse, my Kindle sometimes in my bag, whatever. That way, at any moment I can literally whip it out. There are so many points in time where you're stuck in line somewhere, whether it's the grocery store or the drive-through at the bank, or you're waiting to pick your children up, or some waiting for someone, something where you can read. And a lot of times this time is taken up frivolously. I'm going to use that word again. Why not, right? For example, I at the hair salon sometimes I see lots of people just having these rehashing the same conversation or watching television or fiddling with their phone endlessly. I know it's easy, folks. I those things, those phones, we could spend so much time on our phones, but use it for something a bit more constructive. A lot of times, like I have an Android phone, and I do have my Kindle app on my phone, so I can access my Kindle books on my phone. A lot of times I do. If I'm just sitting somewhere and I'm waiting for something, and I choose to, I can read. And these blocks of time, these chunks of they add up. You'd be surprised. 10 minutes here, 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. It all adds up. So find these little um, chunks of time and make use of them. Next, I want to talk about having a commitment, making a commitment to reading and knowing why you're reading, right? If you have a very vague reason why you want to read, oh, because it makes you smarter or something else ridiculous, some other very vague, it's going to be difficult for you to be self-motivated and to stay on track. So you have to have really strong reasons, personal reasons why you want to read more, why you're creating this new habit. And really that goes for any new habit that you want to create. For example, if you have decided that you want to read more, I'm sorry, write, you'd like to become a writer, And you understand that in order to be a good writer, you need to read. So, and you want to write romance novels, so you've decided to read romance novels. Or you want to brush up on a foreign language that you learned and you want to read a book in that foreign language. Or you're trying to increase your vocabulary, or you want to learn programming so you can build a database or a website, or, I mean, but really strong personal reasons why. You have to determine what they are. I obviously can't tell you. And then if it will help you to write out those reasons why, a lot of people are very kinesthetic. If they write something, take out pen, paper, I'm not talking about online. There is something about taking out a pen and a paper, similar to like handwritten journaling, which solidifies things for a lot of people. It increases the chances that they'll stick to it. And then also, if you write out your reason why, you can go back to it all the time to remind yourself. Make a commitment to it. Decide that you have committed. And once again, you can write this: I am committing to reading one book per month for the next 6 months, or whatever it is that you're committing to, right? And if writing that out helps, write it and look at it on a regular basis when you're struggling, perhaps, or you're feeling very distracted. Revisit that commitment, revisit your why, okay? Next, take baby steps. If you haven't read in a while, it's going to be extremely difficult to pick up 100 Years of Solitude or another novel that has a lot of detail or names or um, and if you've never heard of that, that's just the title of a book, 100 Years of Solitude. I just threw that out there. But any book, if you haven't read and you try to pick up a book that's 1,000 pages long, and it's very detailed, you probably won't last. And you won't get past the first 50 pages or so, especially if, say, for example, it's a slow book to get into. If you're not used to reading, you have to start small. Just like if you haven't been exercising for 3 years, you don't just decide, guess what, I'm going to go run 5 miles today. Not such a good idea, right? Because you probably won't make it, and in fact, you could hurt yourself. And I'm not coming to save you, so anyway, back to the reading. Take baby steps. Sounds pretty obvious, right? But you'd be surprised. Okay, start training your concentration. This is it. You're training yourself. You're training your concentration. You're building up those muscles, because if you haven't been using them, like most of us, our brains nowadays are very scattered. We're used to a lot of distractions. Most people are watching the telly for a little bit. You're watching television for a little bit, and then you're changing the channel at every commercial and picking up your phone and looking at your text message and, oh, somebody emailed me, and then let me cook something while I'm on the phone, while I've got this playing, while I'm on the treadmill, while this is what we're used to. So our brains have to be retrained on how to concentrate on one task fully and to deeply engage in it again. Those muscles are weak. You have to push yourself, though, to build them up. Just like when you're exercising. Once again, I keep using exercise. I love exercise. But anyway, you got to build up those muscles. You build up your stamina, you build up your endurance by pushing yourself a little bit further every time. Like your muscles, they break down. You literally break them down in order for them to build back up stronger again, right? You're breaking down the muscle fibers. So when you're reading, push yourself to go a little bit longer. If you get to a point and you're like, okay, I'm finished, I can't go anymore. No, I want you to try to say, I'm going to read for 10 more minutes. Try it. Just like when you're out there running. I know for myself, if I'm skating, if I'm running and doing body weight, exercise, push-ups, pull-ups, whatever it is, you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm spent. But I usually always try to push myself further. And I find it's that pushing of myself that is what is causing me to progress. That's what's breaking past those barriers so that you are building muscle and you are going further and building up your stamina. The same way with your concentration. Also try to have focused reading sessions at least once a day. Get your brain and your body used to the idea that you are going to be reading every day. If you start doing it regularly, this is about creating habits, folks. In the beginning, it's willpower, so it's going to be a little bit tougher. But the point is you want to get to the point where it's a habit, where your brain understands time to read, no problem. It's able to get to that focused, high state of concentration quickly and easily. But you've got to build up, make it a habit. Pick some designated reading times. You see on the screen here, I have 15 minutes before work, or 30 minutes in the evening, 2 hours on Sunday, 1 hour on, or 2 hours Saturday, 1 hour Sunday, whatever works for you. Please don't think that this is a prescription. I'm not a doctor. Okay? I'm just throwing out some ideas. You may say, I don't have 2 hours on Saturday. Okay, whatever works for you. But pick some times, even write them down. I find that's very good as well. Write it down, set the time, and know that this is the time you're going to read every day. Or at least every other day if you absolutely cannot every day. And then plus you've got these bonus, the anywhere times that I mentioned before. Like if you're in the drive-through or you're waiting in line, those are those extra bonus minutes, right? But don't beat yourself up if you don't make it. If for example, you here and there you don't, you miss a day, for example, or you miss. Okay, no big deal. Doesn't mean you need to scrap the whole thing and go start your negative talk. Oh, my concentration, I just can't. No, no problem. Just get back on track as soon as you can. Next, create some rituals or triggers, some people call this. Tell your mind that it's time to read and that you mean business. So your mind gets used to the idea of, reading. Here's a few examples. Light a candle. Sit in a chair, your favorite chair, or a place in the house, or deep breathing exercises, or read your commitment statement that you wrote, which we talked about earlier, or recite something positive about your reading goals. This kind of triggers in your brain, okay, once the candle's lit, you're in a comfortable chair, time for me to read. You want to keep doing that over and over again so that it's like you're conditioning your brain and you're conditioning your body to know, okay, time to read, time to read, time to read. So these little triggers are what's going to trigger your concentration. In the beginning, these are the things that you need to do. Minimize distractions. If you can't read anywhere, so like the examples I gave earlier, the drive-through or a line, if that doesn't work for you because you're too busy people watching or any other of these things that we do nowadays, which I think make our concentration even worse. But if you're unable to do those, the read anywhere, okay, no big deal. Then find spaces and situations where you're you're least or you're less likely to be distracted. A quiet space, music off, television off, silence. Please don't tell me that you read while the television's on as well. I guess if you really have to, do what you got to do. But I think to have focused reading, you need to have focused reading. Turn off or silence your phone. Put it in another room if you have to. Close the door. Put a sign on the door. Tell your friends, family that this is blank amount of time. This is my 30 minutes, my hour, unless it's an emergency. Unless if the house is burning down, don't bother me. Well, yeah, if the house is burning down, please come and get me from my book. But yeah, focused with minimized distractions. And those are those quick tips. But you can get a lot more tips if you're at the website already. Then right below this video there'll be a link where you can get more tips on focused reading so that you can read more and read longer. If you're watching this on YouTube or another video channel, then head on over to adventurousnerd.com/focus. As always, I invite you to leave your comments. Let me know what you think. What insights did you gain? What are you going to try? What action steps are you going to take? Which one of these are you going to implement today or tomorrow? I mean, this is about, you start now. There's no point to keep putting this off. So which one of them are you going to do? Or if you have any other tips that work for you that help you to be focused with your reading, share them, please. Sharing is caring, as they say. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is Alicia Joy, Adventurous Nerd.